What do you think, Rufus? In what way, what kind of difference is there between the Want 1 and Want 2 album compared to the new way?
The new one. Well, I think that Release the Stars is really, it's basically a kind of amalgamation or composite of all of my albums from the past, whether it's Poses or Want 1 or Want 2. And there's kind of the reason that I wanted to produce it myself is that I've worked with so many incredible producers over the years, like Marius de Vries and Lenny Warnaker and Pierre Marchand, these great people, and I really have this kind of body of knowledge from all of these experiences, and so I tried to just make Release the Stars a reflection of that, and also to try and finally illustrate exactly what I'm hearing, because I love all my past albums, but sometimes I felt like we were just about to get to the precise answer, and then then it would kind of go away, and I think that I kind of had to do that myself, eventually. So.
What was there something that you missed, something that you were looking after, that you hadn't?
Well, I mean, I think what's great about Want 1 and Want 2 and Poses and my first album is that there's a real voyage there. It's all about exploration and also experimentation with certain songs, and also mysticism and yearning and longing, all very kind of youthful tendencies, but that being said, I don't know if we ever got to who really Rufus is. It's always like, I wonder who Rufus is, and Release the Stars is very much like, well, this is who Rufus is. You want to know who I am? Here I am, and I think you can only do that after making several albums. So it's a much more direct record because it's very, for instance, a lot of the songs, or the majority of them, are about other people, and they're kind of conversations with other people where I address them like you and we, and what I want to deal with this, and why don't you get out of my life or come into my life or whatever, but I'm sort of addressing this other person, and oddly enough that makes the listener know a lot more about myself because they can actually hear me speaking, as opposed to me kind of going inside of myself. Then I think that sometimes the listener doesn't understand as much because they can't actually see you in action. So I think I'm more in action with this album.
How did it turn out to be that way? Because that's not the easiest thing to get as close to yourself.
Well, I mean, I think I had to get close to myself first to do that. I mean, Want 1 and Want 2 are very much that project of stripping back the layers of my life and finding out, what, and deciding what I want and deciding what I don't. But after doing that, I was able to really, with Release the Stars, I'm able to kind of just be myself. So I think it's actually just, it's through a lot of years of pain and effort and living, and loving and joy and everything. But I don't think I could make this kind of album in my 20s. I think it had to be done in my 30s, and it's that kind of record. So
it seems like it's a more direct and there's more action in the sentence of the album. And if Want 1 and Want 2 was sort of a recovery theme, how would you describe
Release the Stars? Well, Release the Stars is very much a kind of, the title, Release the Stars is sort of an order to everyone to really just do something, let's, just do, for years we've been, worried or, sad or longing for something else, and there's so little time left that it's now or never in terms of actually accomplishing anything. So it's an analogy of just spreading the love and the energy or whatever. So I think it's very direct in that way. And I think the only way you can make someone do something is if you're very direct with them and tell them to do it. You know, there's no kind of hinting. You know, whether it's things like I'm leaving for Paris or you know, I'm so tired of America. They're all kind of they're all actions as opposed to, you know, philosophies.
But if you act out in that strong direction, it tends to be people who are like very sick or in the last days of their lives, and who will end up acting like that way. What made you do it? Like?
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe part of it is having lived in America for the last few years, where, you know, we as a nation and even the world has sort of witnessed an incredible fall from grace and tragic kind of tale unfold, you know, where we've pretty much lost all of our integrity and power, like, and at least, you know, in terms of persuasion. I mean, sure, we can blow up as many things as we want, but I don't think we're going to convince anybody anytime soon. So I think there's that. I think there's that sort of desperate situation in which you really, in order to solve the problem, you have to act. I mean, you can't think about it anymore. You actually have to do something. Like the ship is sinking, the sink is sinking. So we got to do something. And then also, I mean, my mother, during the making of the album, was ill. She had an operation while I was in Berlin recording, and she's doing amazingly well right now. But definitely during that period, there was a kind of desperation and a kind of fear that I was going through that was so much bigger than anything I'd ever experienced in my life. And you know, that's when a loved one is sick, you know, very sick, and so I was incredibly, and you know, for me, my mother is really the most important person in my life still.
Every album is dedicated to.
Yes, and she's doing amazingly well now, and everything is much more improved than it was. So it's fine. But at the time of making this record, it was very frightening. So I think there was this, you know, a certain knowledge of you know, death and stuff which is terrible to go through, and but everybody does, you know. So it's we're all going to have that, you know.